Welcome to English Through Ideas podcast, where we learn English through powerful ideas.
Really excited to get into today's topic.
Me too. So, what if the deeply rooted emotional baggage you call your demons, the things you truly believe are holding you back, are actually just a lack of basic skills?
Yeah, trainable skills. It was a crazy thought.
Right. So welcome, learner, to a deep dive that is basically going to take a sledgehammer to the way you view self-improvement.
A total sledgehammer. Because usually when we talk about changing your life, there is this expectation of a gentle remodel.
Exactly. We look at our daily routines, we notice some cracks in the walls, and the typical advice is essentially just putting a fresh coat of paint on a crumbling house.
Yeah, you start a gratitude journal, or you buy a really nice planner.
Maybe you do a complex morning routine with an ice bath.
Right, because it's comfortable. I mean, it feels highly productive without actually being disruptive.
We just naturally gravitate toward those easy solutions. The fresh paint.
But today, well, we are setting down the paint rollers.
Yes, we are. We are looking at a huge stack of notes and transcripts and these brutal masterclasses from entrepreneur Alex Hormozi.
And his approach is definitely not about fresh paint.
Not at all. It is about busting up the concrete and rebuilding the entire structure from the dirt up.
So this is not a conversation about the power of positive thinking.
No, it's a gritty, raw exploration of what it actually takes to change your life, especially if you are starting with, well, absolutely zero advantage.
Which is where a lot of people start.
Totally. So our mission for this deep dive is to map out the mechanics of total accountability, the psychology of endurance, and the actual math of winning.
And to rebuild that foundation, we first have to talk about the dirt we are building on.
The dirt. Okay, where do we start?
Well, Hormozi's framework argues that the very first step out of poverty, or failure, comes down to two really uncomfortable words.
And those words are?
It's my fault.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that immediately triggers a defensive reaction, I think, in most of us.
Exactly, because we view fault as like a moral failing. We think it makes us a bad person.
Right.
But the underlying logic here is actually about the mechanics of control. It is about avoiding the psychological trap of blame.
How does that trap work exactly?
So the rule is this: wherever you cast blame, you also cast your power.
Wait, can you explain that a bit more?
Yes, so if you build a story that says, I cannot succeed because of my parents, or, I am held back by the economy.
Okay, I hear people say that all the time.
Right. But by saying that, you are handing those outside things complete control over your life.
Yeah.
You are making yourself a passenger.
Oh, I see. And the notes get very specific with this, too. They point out that people will blame everything from where they live to political figures.
Yeah, they really do.
The examples in the source actually include people blaming Donald Trump or Barack Obama or the, quote, woke left.
Which is super common to hear.
It is. And to be incredibly clear to you, the learner listening right now, the source isn't taking a political stance here, and neither are we.
Right, we are just looking at the behavior.
Exactly. Impartially reporting this. Blaming any external force, no matter what side of the aisle it is on, is basically a mathematical surrender of your personal power.
Precisely. It is just a bad equation. There's this brilliant concept from motivational speaker Zig Ziglar that really helps explain why we get stuck in this trap.
Oh, I love Ziglar. What did he say?
He said, you can either be right or you can be rich.
Right, or rich. Okay.
And rich here can mean money, but it also just means successful or fulfilled or capable.
So how does that connect to being a victim?
Well, when you cling to your victimhood, you might actually be factually correct.
Right.
You might have a perfectly logical, undeniable argument about how you were treated unfairly by the system.
Okay, but
clinging to that rightness guarantees a long-term loss. You win the argument, but you lose at life.
I have to push back here, though, just a little bit.
Sure, go for it.
What if the disadvantage or the systemic block is 100% real and, totally devastating?
That is a very fair question.
Think about it like a race. If you are starting a sprint with a 50-pound weight strapped to your back, and the person next to you has nothing.
Yeah, a huge disadvantage.
Isn't it completely logical to point out the weight? I mean, it feels almost crazy not to acknowledge it.
It is a fantastic analogy.
Yeah.
And, the philosophy here does not deny that the weight exists. The weight is very real.
Okay, so then why shouldn't we talk about it?
Because let's look at the physics of that 50-pound weight. Pointing at it does not alter gravity. It doesn't make the weight any lighter.
Oh, that is true.
You still have to run the race. Complaining about the 50 pounds is what Hormozi calls a poverty lens.
A poverty lens. Because you are viewing the world entirely through what you lack.
Exactly. You focus only on what is unfair.
Because pointing at the weight doesn't generate the energy to move it, you are just burning calories talking about it.
You hit the nail on the head. You are burning the exact mental and emotional energy that you actually need for the sprint.
So the only way to build momentum is to accept the handicap, stop pointing at it, and just run anyway.
That is the only way.
But stripping away that delusion of fairness is hard. Where does the initial energy actually come from when your tank is totally empty?
That is where most high achievers get stuck.
Right, because people wait around trying to find their perfect motivation or this grand positive vision to pull them forward.
Yeah, they want a beautiful reason to start. But Hormozy's notes reveal he was not running toward a grand vision in the beginning.
What was he doing then?
He was running away from terror. Early on, he wasn't fueled by a deep passion for changing lives. He was fueled entirely by anger.
Anger. Really?
Anger and the sheer terror of failing and having to go back to his hometown as a loser.
Wow. So it is the mechanics of desperation. But how do you sustain that without just breaking down?
You have to understand how humans adapt. Think about building a physical callus on your hands.
Like from lifting weights.
Exactly. When you first start lifting heavy weights, the initial friction tears the skin. It causes bleeding.
Yeah, it hurts a lot.
It is highly painful, both financially and emotionally, when you are starting a business from zero. But the biological response to that tearing is to adapt.
Your body builds armor over the wound.
Right. The skin gets thicker,
Mm-hmm.
and the notes use this analogy of pulling life towards you like a game of tug-of-war with a rope made of glass.
A rope made of glass? That sounds awful.
It is incredibly painful and bloody in the beginning,
Yeah.
but eventually the rope gets smoother. You have to endure the pain today to steal the pain from tomorrow.
You literally cannot get the armor without enduring that tearing phase first.
Exactly. But the problem is, most people quit during the tearing phase.
Oh, for sure.
They run a bad internet ad or they lose $50 on a failed store and they think, well, I am back at zero. I failed.
Right. They see it as a total loss.
But this framework completely changes that. You are not back at zero. You are at 0 + 1 experience point.
Oh, I love that video game analogy. You just leveled up your experience. But let's look at the reality of that tearing phase. When you are just scraping by, buying those experience points means like sacrificing actual meals.
It absolutely does.
You are out of money. How do you afford to build the callus when you are broke?
You do it through extreme elimination of distractions. The tactical advice here is not just to save a little money.
What is it then?
It is to live so far below your money means that it is actively uncomfortable.
So no eating out.
None. You stop eating out completely. You buy discount groceries. You go to Goodwill for clothes. You only go to free events.
You essentially stockpile your cash so you can stockpile your time.
Yes. Because time is the currency you use to take bets on learning new skills.
That makes total sense.
The breakdown in the notes is brutal but true. Rich people buy time. Ambitious people buy skills. And lazy people buy distractions.
Wow. So when you are broke, you have to be the highly ambitious person buying skills with every spare dollar.
Exactly. Every single second and dollar you can find.
Okay, so you are enduring the tearing phase. You are buying experience points. You are eating discount groceries.
Yeah, living the dream.
Right. But enduring all of that requires massive mental strength. What happens when our own psychology gets in the way?
What do you mean?
Well, we hear it all the time. People say, oh, I have demons, or, I am just prone to self-sabotage.
Yes. This is where the notes take a highly controversial but really fascinating stance.
Okay, lay it on me.
The argument is that having demons or self-sabotaging are largely fake concepts.
Fake, really?
Yeah. The notes say we use these terms because they sound mysterious, they sound complex, and honestly, they conveniently excuse our bad habit.
Oh, I see. It sounds a lot deeper, almost romantic to say I have deep-seated commitment issues.
Right, rather than just saying, I get bored easily and I quit.
Wow, that is a punch to the gut.
The reality is that these demons are just a lack of skills in a specific situation.
So you don't have an unconquerable demon.
No, you just lack the behavioral skill of staying consistent when a task becomes boring.
The material actually references a framework from a Dr. Kashi to dismantle this, right?
Yes, the logic, evidence, utility framework.
Let's actually test this in real time for the learner. Let's take something tricky that a lot of people struggle with, like imposter syndrome.
Oh, that is a great example.
How do we dismantle imposter syndrome using this framework?
Okay, let's walk through it. Step 1 is logic. You have to define the abstract behavior. Imposter syndrome is a feeling, right? It is not a behavior.
Okay, so what is the actual behavior?
You tell me. If you have imposter syndrome, what are you actually doing?
Um, I guess the behavior is hesitating to publish my work. Or like not speaking up in a meeting because I think someone will expose me as a fraud.
Perfect. That is a behavior. Now, step 2 is evidence. Find the actual proof. Is this a real pattern?
Yes, I can point to 3 different projects this month that I delayed for weeks because I kept endlessly revising them out of fear.
Okay, so the behavior is real. We have evidence. Now, step 3 is utility. You ask, does this behavior serve my goals?
Does delaying my projects help me? Obviously not. It is actively hurting my career.
Right. So look at what we just did. We took this massive, scary monster called imposter syndrome, and we reduced it to a mechanical failure.
It is not a demon anymore.
Exactly. You simply lack the behavioral skill of publishing your work while feeling uncertain.
And that is a trainable skill.
Exactly. You can practice that.
Wow. It totally shifts the perspective. The notes also apply this mechanical view to how we frame trauma, which is super interesting.
Yes. Trauma is defined very simply here. It is just a permanent change in behavior resulting from a negative stimulus.
The example they use is touching a hot stove, right?
Right. You touch a hot stove, you get burned, and you learn never to touch a glowing red element again.
So that is technically trauma.
Yes. But it is good trauma
Right.
because it prevents you from burning your house down.
It really strips away the emotional weight of the word. But I know what some listeners are thinking right now.
That it sounds a bit harsh.
Yeah. Telling someone that their deeply felt emotional baggage is just a lack of skills sounds incredibly cold.
It does sound cold.
It feels like walking up to someone who is actively drowning in a lake and calmly explaining to them that they just haven't mastered the concept of buoyancy.
That is a very vivid way to put it. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, it is actually the ultimate form of empowerment.
How so?
Think about it. If you believe you have demons, you are cursed. You are fighting these supernatural forces that you cannot defeat.
Right, you are helpless.
But if you turn that abstract monster into a concrete inexperience, you make the problem entirely solvable.
You demystify it completely.
Exactly. There's a great metaphor for this in the notes. Imagine a kid who has never seen a banana before in his entire life.
Okay, a kid with a
He
banana.
picks it up and he bites right into it with the peel still on.
Gross.
Right, it tastes terrible.
Yeah.
But is the kid stupid? Is he cursed by a banana demon?
No, he just doesn't know you have to peel it.
Exactly. He is just inexperienced.
Yeah.
He just needs a few repetitions to learn how the peel works. You are not cursed. You just need more reps.
I love that. But, changing your behavior and fixing these skill gaps changes who you are.
It absolutely does.
And when you change, your environment reacts. When you start eating discount groceries to buy experience points, the people around you are going to notice.
Well, they will definitely notice.
And honestly, they probably are not going to like it.
They won't. And this introduces the inevitable social cost to being exceptional.
The social cost.
The advice here is a ruthless audit of your friendships.
Ruthless is right. What do you have to do?
You ask one simple binary question about every friend. Does this person increase or decrease the likelihood of me hitting my goal?
Wow. And if they decrease it,
You cut them out.
that is brutal. But it ties into this rule of social consequences from the notes.
Right, the idea that there are no social obligations, only social consequences.
Explain that for the learner.
Well, if you skip a friend's party because you need to stay home and work on your skills, and as a punishment, your friends stop inviting you out.
A lot of people would feel terrible about that.
But that isn't a loss. That is a win-win. You wanted to stay home and work anyway.
Oh, right. It leads directly into what the source calls the lonely chapter.
The lonely chapter. Think about it using the physics of a rocket launch.
Okay, orbital mechanics.
For a rocket to escape Earth's gravity, it has to burn a massive amount of fuel. And it literally has to shed parts of itself, drop the booster rockets to break free.
So your old friend group is that gravity.
Exactly. To reach a new, higher orbit where your future friends are, you have to shed the weight.
And the lonely chapter is just that cold, empty space in between orbits.
You got it. You are too different for your old friends, but you're not yet successful enough to fit in with the new ones.
And people panic in that empty space. They really do. They try to fake it to mask the transition.
Yeah, Hormozy actually shares a story about buying a Bentley early on in his career.
Just to look successful, right?
Right. But the realization he had was profound. Buying a luxury car to impress people is a huge mistake.
What do the notes say about that?
They say, if you want to impress poor people, outspend them. If you want to impress rich people, outwork them.
Oh, that is so good. Because rich people look at a leased Ferrari and just see bad financial decisions.
Exactly. Which goes right back to stockpiling cash to buy time.
But I have to ask, isn't isolating yourself to this degree, cutting everyone out to focus purely on work, the exact opposite of work-life balance?
It is.
Aren't you just going to end up miserable and alone?
This raises the fundamental question of what you actually want. And the framework attacks the concept of balance head-on.
What is wrong with balance?
The view is that balance is a total myth for anyone seeking exceptional results. Think about the word mediocrity.
Okay.
It literally means being in the middle. It means being balanced. If you want to be exceptional, you cannot operate like a normal person.
You have to be the exception.
Exactly. Balance is something you achieve over a long timeline. Maybe working relentlessly in your 20s to buy total freedom in your 40s.
Not something you try to achieve every single Tuesday.
Right. It is a macro thing, not a micro thing.
Okay, so let's say you, the learner, are floating in that lonely chapter. You have taken ownership. You have reframed your trauma into trainable skills.
You drop the booster rockets.
Right. You shed the old gravity. What are the daily mechanics now? What exactly are you doing with all this isolated time?
You are executing the math of winning.
The math of winning. I like the sound of that.
And the secret to the daily grind is summarized in this one phrase. Be patient with outputs, but impatient with inputs.
Because action alleviates anxiety.
Precisely. The critical error most people make is tracking lagging metrics.
Lagging metrics, those are delayed results, right? Like the money in your bank account or the rate on the scale.
Exactly. That is an output. It takes weeks or months to actually show up. Staring at it just creates frustration.
So what should we obsess over instead?
Leading metrics, the inputs. How many sales calls did you make today? How many lines of code did you write? How many calories did you eat?
It is the difference between standing in a field and yelling at the dirt to make the crops grow faster.
Which never works.
Right, that is yelling at the outputs, versus furiously planting more seeds, which are your inputs.
That is a perfect analogy. And there is a great story in the material about a $200 pizza place consultation that illustrates this.
Oh yeah, tell that story.
So, long before Hormozy was a multimillionaire, he was just a guy who had spent years doing the daily inputs to get into incredible physical shape.
Like setting state records in powerlifting.
Yeah, super strong. And one day, an acquaintance asked for diet help. They met at a pizza place, and the guy just handed him a check for $200 for an hour of advice.
Wow. And what is the underlying lesson there?
The money didn't come from a magical manifestation or a grand business plan. It came because skills stack and proof creates confidence.
He did the reps. He built the physical evidence that he knew what he was talking about.
Right. And the market responded to that skill.
And the barrier to actually acquiring those foundational skills is much lower than we think, isn't it?
It really is. The notes mention the 20-hour rule.
Which is what?
It generally only takes 20 hours of focused, deliberate effort to get decent at something, whether that is editing a video, basic writing, or making sales calls.
But let's break down the mechanics of that, because
Yeah.
this is not just passively watching YouTube tutorials for 20 hours, right?
Oh, definitely not. It is deliberate practice. It requires breaking the skill down into micro steps.
And eliminating all the early friction, like turning off your phone and closing all your browser tabs.
Yes. And setting up rapid feedback loops so you know if you are doing it right. If you actually sit down and do 20 hours of high-focus practice, you will bypass 90% of the population.
That is wild. The tragedy is that most people wait years to just start the first hour.
They really do.
But here is the ultimate test. You are planting the seeds. You are doing the deliberate practice. How do you not quit when the crops take months or even years to finally grow?
That is the hardest part.
Yeah.
And you survive by shifting your psychology from a finite game to an infinite game.
Wait, unpack that for us. A finite game has a clock, a set of rules, and a score, right?
Right. Like a football game.
So if an infinite game just means refusing to quit, doesn't that just lead to endless burnout? How do you measure progress if there is no finish line?
You measure it by the exhaustion of your inputs, not the accumulation of your outputs.
Oh, I see.
In a finite game, you played across a finish line. If you view your goals like that and the results don't come quickly, you feel like you are losing.
Your dopamine drops and you just quit.
Exactly.
Oh.
But in an infinite game, the goal is not to end the game. The goal is to keep playing. You don't win by getting the result. You win by refusing to quit.
So the very definition of winning changes from an external reward to an internal state.
Exactly. It literally alters your brain chemistry. You start getting dopamine from the effort itself.
That is amazing.
If your daily goal is simply to leave absolutely nothing in the tank, to maximize your inputs for that day, then the moment your head hits the pillow, you win.
You win every single day by default, regardless of what the bank account says.
Right. The external results just become a delayed byproduct of your daily victory over yourself.
That is a massive paradigm shift. You stop waiting for the world to crown you a winner, and you crown yourself one based entirely on your own effort.
It is the ultimate freedom.
So let's bring this all together for you, the learner. The journey we've mapped out today is not for the faint of heart.
Not at all.
It begins with taking complete ownership of your dirt, saying, "It is my fault," to reclaim your power from the external forces you've been blaming.
You have to endure the initial tearing phase and build the callus.
Right, and translate your abstract demons into concrete, trainable skills. It demands that you shed the booster rockets of your old life.
Embrace the lonely chapter.
Yes, embrace the lonely chapter in between orbits and focus with absolute ruthless impatience on your daily inputs.
And if we pull the lens all the way back, there is a final, really provocative thought from Hormoz's philosophy that brings us all into focus.
Oh, I love a provocative thought. What is it?
He theorizes that on a long enough timeline, say, if humans could live to be 1,000 years old,
Okay, 1,000 years.
virtually everyone would eventually become successful.
Really? Everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if you remove the ticking clock of mortality, the only things actually standing between you and absolute mastery are a lack of time and your own decision to quit.
Wow. If time and quitting are the only real obstacles, how much of your current timeline are you wasting by pretending you don't already know exactly what you need to do today?
You already know the inputs.
You know what seeds to plant. We started this deep dive talking about taking a sledgehammer to the foundation of your life. It is loud, it is messy, and it is incredibly hard work.
But it is the only way to build something that actually lasts.
Absolutely. Thank you for learning with English through ideas. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more ideas, more English, and more growth.